Today, I'm going to be previewing the 2025 fantasy football rookie class. If you're in a dynasty league and you're thinking about rebuilding first, go check out my video I did earlier this week on how to rebuild and when to know if you need to rebuild in dynasty. After that, if you're here from that video, thank you for watching. We're going over the 2025 rookie class to show you guys the strengths, the weaknesses of this class, and some names to keep your eye on. Along with at the end of the video, I'm going to give you guys a quick little mock draft. Now, keep in mind, this is all very rough. Like, things change a lot in football. Like, we didn't expect Jaden Daniels to be great last year, and he ends up probably being, if you're in a super flex league, he's a top 4 pick in your draft. So this is all rough, but this is the general outlook, and I think there's pretty obvious strengths of this class and pretty obvious weaknesses. There could be some guys that step up, but this is the general. We're going to go position by position and then the mock draft at the end. Without saying much less, let's start off with what I think might be one of the weaker positions in this class, which might not be ideal if you're in a super flex dynasty trying to rebuild, but it's the quarterback class, man. This quarterback class is not super strong because I think there's two quarterbacks in this class that I like as like first round picks in the actual NFL draft. And that's Shador Sanders and Carson Beck. I think they're both really good quarterbacks. I think they'll go early in the draft. But the issue, especially with fantasy football, is neither one of them are really runners. I mean, they're both more passing quarterbacks, pocket passing quarterbacks. Shador especially doesn't like to run a lot. He can run a little, but he's not super fast. He's more of a pocket passer. Carson Beck maybe runs a little bit better, but he's not going to be like, definitely no Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, Anthony Richardson. He's more of a pocket passer. Like, I think Drake May, Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams were all way better runners than either Shador or Carson Beck. So that's, if you're looking for a quarterback in the 2025 rookie class, I would lean away from it. I mentioned it in my dynasty rebuild video, but like if you really need a quarterback, I would prefer going out and targeting like JJ McCarthy or Drake May rather than banking on Shador or Carson Beck, drafting them in your rookie draft, because they could still be really good quarterbacks. I'm not like, I love Shador Sanders, especially. I think he's going to be a really good quarterback, but he's just a pocket passer. So he has to be like a top 5 NFL quarterback if he wants to be a good fantasy quarterback. Whereas you could get a guy like JJ McCarthy, go trade low for him right now, especially with his injury. And he has a rushing upside that neither one of these guys are going to have. Another couple names I have to mention, Quinn Ewers and Cam Ward are another couple guys. I love Cam Ward. I think he could do that rise a lot this year. But also, again, neither one of those dudes are great runners. So this just isn't a crazy running quarterback class. I mean, the only dude that would really interest me, like that I could see potentially, is if Riley Leonard has a huge year at Notre Dame. I mean, Riley Leonard can run the ball. If you watch him at Duke, he's actually a really good runner, which doesn't seem like it. He's almost like a big gazelle just running through the field. But he's a dude to keep an eye on if he ends up having a really good year at Notre Dame and becomes a first round pick. But don't bang on this quarterback class being great, because I don't think it's going to be a great fantasy QB class. So moving on, I'm going to go from worst positions to best positions. So the second worst position is tight end. I think we have some good tight ends, but no guys that like I'm crazy excited for. The only two tight ends I really got on here, I haven't done much tight end sky, but Colton Loveland. He's probably going to be the number 1 tight end from Michigan. He's a really good tight end. He's not like some crazy athlete or something, but he's a really solid all-around tight end. If you ever watch Michigan games, you've seen his name. He's really good. And then the other guy I want to mention is Oscar Delp from Georgia. He's a guy I think has a little higher upside, but he's kind of been behind Brock Bowers, so this is his year to finally step up. A middling tight end class, like Colson Loveland could be like, he could be a first-round pick probably, and a guy that is definitely has some value in fantasy, but no guys that like in a dynasty draft I'll be like talking about, top 6, 7. I could see Colson Loveland being like an early second round pick, kind of maybe is the top of the class. But moving on, the next position I have is wide receiver. I think wide receiver is the second strongest position. Obviously, quarterback, tight end, I think are the worst. And then wide receiver, we just came off of this incredible receiver class with 3 top 10 receivers, and we might have it again. 3 top 10 receivers is crazy. I think there's a lot more strengths in this class other than receivers just as a whole as a draft class. Like, there's some really good D linemen and corners in this class. But in terms of talent, I think there's 3 potential top 10 pick talents in this class. We start off with Luther Burden from Missouri. I think Luther Burden's the best receiver in this class. He's a stud, man. Go watch him. You probably don't watch a lot of Missouri if you're not a huge college football fan. He's going to light it up this year. He's a guy that could be a fringe like Heisman candidate this year. So he's a stud. really good receivers. Then we got Tatoria. I always mess up his first name. McMillan from Arizona. He's kind of a freak of nature. This dude is humongous. He has incredible contested catch ability. He's really smooth too. He's like one of those like not he's a lot better than Johnny Wilson. But he's also not as big as Johnny Wilson. But just kind of reminds me of like how Johnny Wilson was so big, but yet also pretty smooth. That's kind of McMillan's strength, is that he's huge, great contested catches, but he's also a really smooth route runner. He's another guy who could easily be a top 10 pick. Just his just elite athletic profile and just size is going to help him a lot. Then the third guy that I think could be is Travis Hunter. I'm going to be making a video on Travis Hunter in a little bit. I don't know exactly when, about whether or not I think he should play receiver, corner. I think he's going to play receiver. The money at wide receiver in the NFL is a lot more than the money at corner. So I think he will play receiver in the league. Whether or not he's better, you'll have to check out my video when I do that. But Travis Hunter, I think, is going to be a receiver, and I think he's a really good receiver. I think he just has that elite athletic profile that can be a really good receiver. And so we have those three guys could all be like top 15 picks in the NFL draft. And those are going to be guys right at the top of your dynasty draft. So if you need a receiver, it's not bad, because not only do we have those guys, this is a deep receiver class. I'm going to kind of go through these guys quicker, but all of these guys I think are going to be like top 50 guys in this draft. We got Emeka Ibuka from Ohio State. He could have come out this last year. He decided to turn. He's a really solid receiver. Trey Harris from Ole Miss. I'm not the biggest Trey Harris fan, but a lot of people really like Trey Harris and have him as a first rounder. So he's going to be good. Evan Stewart, I really like. He transferred from A&M to Oregon this year. We got Isaiah Bond, transferred from Bama to Texas. Kind of the big play guy there. We got Eric Ayumaner from Stanford. He's a dude that dropped like 300 yards on Colorado last year. He's another guy to mention. Xavier Restrepo, I love him, from Miami. He's going to be playing with Cam Ward. And then we got Torrey Horton from Colorado State. There's other guys I mentioned, but like I could see all those dudes being top 50. So this is a deep receiver class. So if you need receivers, don't be afraid to get some seconds. It's going to be like this year. Now this year, you're like, if you had a second round pick, I mean, you're looking at potentially like in super flex leagues, I was like, you're looking at like Leggett, you're looking at Ladd McConkey, Keon Coleman. Like those guys are the kinds of dudes are available in second rounds of these dynasty rookie drafts. I think it's going to be another year like that, where if you can get those early second round picks, you're going to be able to get a valuable receiver, because this is a deep class. But there are that top 2 or 3 guys that are still worth having at the top of the draft, because like I said, quarterbacks aren't going to go super early in your dynasty draft. So you're going to need a top pick if you want a receiver, or if you want what I think is the strength of this class, and we haven't had a class like this in a long time, and that is the running back class. This could be a generational running back class. Like last year, we were looking at like potential generational receiver class or quarterback class. This is the year for the generational running back class. The amount of talent at running back this year is crazy. I don't know where to rank these dudes too. Like usually you have like, oh, like this dude's really good, this dude's the next step, and then there's a gap, and then there's like these other guys. Man, this order could be so different when it all is said and done. I have like 10 dudes. I could see these 10 dudes in any order when the season comes. So I'm going to mention some of my favorite guys. I'm definitely leaving out some guys that could easily be up there, but these are my favorite guys in this draft class in no particular order. The first 4, I think, are my favorite 4, and then I have a little gap, and then the next 4. So the first one I want to mention is Ashton Jeanty, the Boise State running back. He's a stud, man. A smaller guy. Many people probably don't know him because he's at Boise State, but just an elite athlete, really fast, really good. He's good at catching the ball too, which will be good for dynasty and fantasy. We got Quinshawn Judkins next up from Ohio State. Everyone knows the name. He's got the crazy spin move in the new college football game. He's going to be a stud for Ohio State. I can't believe he went there. Next up, Ollie Gordon from Oklahoma State, one of the best athletes at the running back position, and a guy who I think is going to be a Heisman candidate this year. Then we got Omarion Hampton from North Carolina, just a stud running back. He was a huge part of that offense last year. I know Drake May was like the main guy, but Omarion Hampton was just as good as Drake May last year. Those 4 will all probably be top 50 guys in this next draft class. And then I'm going to mention another 5 that I don't know where they end up, but guys I just have to mention. Nick Singleton's one of my favorite running backs in this class. His athletic profile is like really close to Saquon Barkley's. I know he hasn't had the on-field production. I know it's same school scouting. So be it. But Nick Singleton from Penn State, one of my favorite guys. Travion Henderson, I thought he could have been potentially RB1 this year in the draft class if he left Ohio State. He decided to go back. he had an incredible freshman year, incredible athleticism, and then he kind of got hurt. Kind of been trying to get back to that freshman year he had, but if he can do that this year, pairing with Quinshaw Judkins, that Ohio State running back room is just dirty. Trevor Etienne transferred from Florida to Georgia. Yes, he is Travis Etienne's brother. Another high upside dude that I think could be really good for Georgia this year. And, Georgia running backs have had really good track records, so he could be the next one. Next up, we got Monangai, the receiver from Rutgers, and Devin Neal. Those are two guys. I haven't done as much work on those two guys, but I know everyone talks about these dudes as top running backs in the nation. So like I said, elite running back class. If you want a running back, if you're like kind of like a rebuilding team and you're like, damn, I want a running back on my roster, don't go force a trade for a running back, because you're going to be able to get one of these dudes in a rookie draft, and you're going to be able to get these dudes in the early second. It's going to be kind of like, I know it didn't work out as well, but if you remember, go back to last year's rookie drafts when you had dudes like Kendre Miller, Devon Achane, Roshan Johnson. Like I said, these dudes didn't work out, but you were getting those early second round picks at running backs that could be really valuable. It's another similar thing in this draft class. And I think just talking myself through this draft class, there's going to be that elite top of the draft class where you're going to have like Quinshaw Judkins, Ashton Jeanty, Luther Burden. You're going to have some elite talent. But honestly, if you can stack up on late first and early seconds, there is so much depth at running back and receiver this year. Those picks are going to be so valuable in your dynasty draft. Without saying much less, let's do a quick mock. Like, these mocks are so rough. Like I said, I don't know what order these guys are going to go. And these mocks depend so much on like where these dudes get drafted. That changes their outlook so much. Are you getting drafted to a team like where you're going to be the third receiver? Or are you going to be like a dude like, I don't know, like Malik Neighbors, where you're getting drafted as the only receiving threat on the entire team? So they all depend on where they go, how high they get drafted. But quick mock draft just to get you guys through it. Let's get right into it. First overall pick, I got Quinshaw Judkins. If he is as good as I think he can be, I mean, this dude's like forced missed tackle rates as a freshman and a true sophomore at Ole Miss were just off the charts. And that's one of the best stats to look at from translating from college to the NFL is forced missed tackle rate. And Quinshaw Judkins is up there at the top of the top. He's an elite running back. I got him one. This is super flex, by the way. So like, I think this could be a super flex. I think Shador and Carson Beck could be top picks, but I don't think they're going to be top super flex dynasty picks. Next up, I got Luther Burden going number 2, receiver from Missouri. We talked about him. Then I got Ashton Jeanty, running back from Ole Miss. Running back's another one where it really depends on where he goes, because if you go and you have an opportunity to be the RB1, you're going to go a lot higher than a dude who goes to be an RB2 somewhere. So obviously depending on landing spot, but just in terms of talent, Jeanty at 3. We got Tatori McMillan at pick 4 from Arizona, the receiver. So those 4 dudes I think are the elite guys. I think Ollie Gordon could slide in there. I'll have him coming up. We got Shador Sanders at 5. That first quarterback. If you're a quarterback needy team, you might have to take one of these guys. I think Shador is going to be the top quarterback in this class. So I got him there at 5. Pick 6, I just mentioned him. Ollie Gordon, running back from Oklahoma. If you just mentioned the top 6 picks, half of them are running backs. Man, this is going to be an elite running back class, and why don't go force, unless you really need a running back this year to contend, don't go forcing a running back trade, man. You're going to be able to get one in this next year's draft class that is going to be an elite dude. And with short lifespans of running backs, you want young dudes. You're going to be able to get a lot of those in this draft class. Pick 7, I have Travis Hunter, assuming he goes to play receiver. It's going to be so funny if Travis Hunter gets drafted and like whatever team he gets drafted to, like, oh, we don't know if he's going to play receiver or corner, because like you're going to be looking at Dynasty draft like, is he playing corner? Because I'm not drafting this dude if he's playing corner, but if he's playing receiver, he could be a first round pick. So it's going to be really interesting to see. We really haven't had a decision like this. So fun guy to watch. Pick 8, we got Omarion Hampton, running back from UNC. We are now 50% through 8 picks, 50% running back picks. Still, pick 9, Carson Beck. He's probably going to slide in there as a first rounder. So if a team needs a quarterback, he'll go in there. Pick 10, I have my first tight end off the board. We got Colson Loveland. He's going to go from Michigan. Pick 10. Pick 11, I got Emeka Abuka, another receiver. And then the last pick of most people's first round who do 12-team dynasty, we got Nick Singleton, the running back from Penn State. I don't know why I almost just blanked my mind. But so if you're looking at that first round, that means we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 running backs in the first round. We got 1, 2, 3, 4 receivers, 5 running backs, 4 receivers, 2 quarterbacks, and a tight end. So you need running backs and receivers. This class is stacked. It is very deep. Make sure you guys hey, it's a good idea. If you're rebuilding, if you didn't watch my rebuild video, make sure you really check that out if you're looking at this. But it's really important to look at the draft class and figure out, if I get these picks, is it going to help me? Because you want to look at like if you're like, hey man, I need like a tight end. I really want a young tight end, or I really want a young quarterback. You don't have to go try and trade for the number 1, number 2 pick. Go trade for a mid to late first. You don't have to target those top picks because you know the draft class. Knowing the draft class is so important when you're trading for draft picks, because you know what you need to. If you're like a guy, you're like, man, I really need an elite receiver or running back. Some years, like if you like this year, if you needed a running back really bad, you could have just been like, hey man, I'll just go get pick 108 to 112 or something, go get Jonathan Brooks or Trey Benson. I'm gonna be fine with that. Whereas this year, if you want that elite running back, you might have to go get one of the top 3 picks in the draft if you really want like a Judkins or a Luther Burden at receiver. So make sure you know the draft class, have an idea for it. It's gonna change. It's definitely gonna change, but I think you have an idea of the draft class, where you need to trade, what the strengths and weaknesses are. Anyways, that's gonna be it for today. Let me know if you guys are enjoying some of this Dynasty content. I'm gonna get more into college football stuff as it starts up here this week, and I'll see you for the next one. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you did enjoy the video.